Welcome to B Sports Picks. Today I have one play in baseball, and I have three batter props that I'm going to share with you. I was actually going to share a different play, and I'll get right into that on why I skipped it. I'll tell you that at the end. I actually shared it with my VIP, and I said, you know what? I normally don't do this, but I actually cashed out. So I went back and I said, you know what? I cashed out. You can keep it in there if you want, whatever you want to do. But I showed why I cashed out. So I do have one very strong play, and then like I said, I cashed out of the other one, and then I do have another one that I threw in for VIP. But I'm gonna hook you guys up right in this video with three batter props and one baseball play. So if that sounds good to you, let's ride. Quick recap from yesterday, though. Let me get it right into this. So this was ridiculous, man. It was my mistake, to be honest. I mean, it's always my mistake because I'm the one that put it in. But basically, this was dumb. I had a very strong play for Michael Stefanik. I showed all the reasoning. My under RBIs have been hitting very, very well. And then I also had one batter prop. So I had two batter props. This was one of them. And then the day was so light with plays. There was only 5 games. I explained all this in yesterday's video. So then I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I was like, you know what? I forced something to parlay this with, and then that's where I made my mistake because I have not kept up with basketball. If you see my videos, I have not kept up with basketball since playoffs started. So then my mistake was, let me just grab the best player that I can think of that's playing today, and I grabbed Tyrese Halliburton because he's been doing so good, and I said, all right, let me play a minus 600 just to get the odds down, and he didn't even get 8 points, man. I mean, in the half he had 4 points, so it was a shitty loss right there. It was my mistake for just forcing something there. I was not paying attention, and I forced it, and that's what happens. So that was mistake number one. And then mistake number two, I chose Ronald Acuna Jr. for the wrong game. Yeah, he definitely did. Scott is saying that Halliburton sold. Yeah, man, he was out there doing cardio. It was ridiculous. I thought he was injured when I saw the score, and I'm like, what the hell's going on with this dude? So I went and I checked it in. I checked in there, and this dude's running around the damn court, missing simple shots, just looking to pass the ball the entire time. I'm like, what's up with this guy, man? So anyways, it reminded me of his game where he had 2 points, which is ridiculous. So anyways, man, this is the second one was my mistake. I actually said to go with the second game. So a lot of you guys, my mistake, man, I apologize. You guys chose Ronald Acuna Jr. for the second game, and he lost. He did not get a hit on the second game, but in the first game, he actually got 2 hits. The only problem was that he did not start the game. So some of the books you got to be careful with because they say if he doesn't start the game, then it doesn't count. So in this case, he got 2 hits, but it didn't count because he didn't start the game. No run first inning. So this was actually just a nerfy, and that hit. But this was not enough to cover my losses. So this is 2 days in a row that I've been losing. So I'm just putting that out there. I don't force anything. I mean, I showed that I forced this dumbass Halliburton, but that was just kind of just to get the juice down. It was not really, I don't feel it was forced at a minus 600. Bob says he cashed with that nerfy. Yeah, that was good, man. That was kind of the only win I had yesterday. So 2 losses and 1 win. That was the shitty day from yesterday. So let's keep it going, man. That was my recap for yesterday. There was not a lot going on. And today, like I said, man, I'm going to hook you guys up with I'm looking at the Colorado Rockies versus the Mets. That's the first very strong thing that I'm looking at. I'm going to hook you guys up. And then I got 3 batter props right in this video. So again, guys, the Rockies versus the Mets, this is a very, very lopsided play. If you've been watching any of my videos, you know that when the Rockies play, I'm looking to fade them. But there's a lot of strong indications. Now, the Mets did burn us a couple of days ago. I forgot who they were going against, and they actually lost the game straight up, and I had them at a minus 1.5. So the Mets do tend to shit the bed sometimes. Just be careful with that. So the Mets right here, they started at a minus 330, and they went all the way to minus 350. So they did shift, even though it's super heavy already, it did shift. You could see 96%, 97% right there. That's the public. But anyways, it moved 20 cents or 15 cents. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 20 cents. The public is all over it. Sharp indications. It is showing sharp money is coming in on it as well. overwhelming support on the public side. 96% of everything's coming in. Everything's agreeing with the Mets. Offensive production, they're ranked 26. So Colorado Rockies, if you look at the OPS, what that means is the rank percentage on the last 7 days of how often they get on base. And the Rockies are 26th. They're one of the worst teams in the league right now. So there's a massive 11 rank edge for on-base percentages. All right. Now, the last 10 games, they're struggling to cover even spreads. So they've been losing by 2 runs or more. Right now, the line shifted all the way to -2.5. That's how bad it is. So Rockies are 3-6. Mets are not so much better as far as the ATS goes. And then over-unders are very similar there. I'm not looking at over-unders today for this game. Critical situation dominance. Rockies are 7%. So this is very, very important. We got something called insights, and the insights tells you, like, for example, I'm going to give you this perfect example right here. Rockies are 2-24, 7% in the last 26 road games. So every time they're on a road, they're only hitting at a 7% hit rate. Rockies not only lose on the road, but they consistently fail to produce offensively because, like I said, OPS record is very, very nasty. You can see there's a bunch of stats. I'm not going to go into every detail, but I will get into this one. The win probability for the Mets is at 83% versus the Rockies. Ninth inning. So now I also did something called the ninth inning. So I checked on the ninth inning if the Mets are going to bat, and the projection is no at a -220. So what this means is that the books predict that the Mets are not going to bat, and this is a heavy, heavy odd that it's saying that it's not going to bat. They're not going to bat. What this means, again, is that more than likely they're going to be winning the game, and they're just going to finish. They're not even going to bat in the ninth. Now, I've seen the Rockies somehow keep the games close, especially against decent teams like the Cubs and stuff like that. So you got to be careful. And like I mentioned, the Mets have shit the bed before. Even for us, last couple of days, they did shit the bed. So now another strong thing here is you look at the Mets over 8.5 hits. It's favored to get over 8.5 hits. So that's already telling you the books are favoring they're going to get more than 8.5 hits. And you compare that to the Rockies under 7.5 hits. That's a 2-hit differential. The last thing I'll talk about here is the Rockies. The Rockies, you see those little 5 zeros or 5 circles? That means they have not won or not covered the spread in the last 5 games. Look at this ridiculous record, 9-47. They're one of the worst teams in the last 124 years. The projected score here is the Rockies to score 4. Also, you look over here, the Mets, they're 4-5 in the last 5. 4 out of 5 in the last 5, and their record is over 500. All right, so what I'm doing here, I'm going to go with the -1.5 on the Mets. I cannot show the slips anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore, but it's going to be a -1.5 on the Mets. The line already shifted over to a -2.5, so you're going to have to look for alt spreads in your book. I don't know if all the books do that, or I don't know if all the books shifted it, or if it's already more expensive on the -1.5. I don't know. You have to look at your own book to see what that offers, but I'm taking that for a -1.5. All right, guys. So the other game I had here is the Tigers. I was looking very, very heavily at the Tigers. Everything was matching. I'm not going to get into the details, but everything was matching. Everything was saying this is great, especially with Casey Mize. The line was shifting, everything. And when I went to start trying to record, like when I started getting my data to record this video, actually, then I noticed something. I went to take a screenshot of this so that I can explain it. And what I noticed here, it says KC versus Mize. I know it's kind of hard to see that, but it says KC versus Mize. That means Royals versus the pitcher, which is Mize. Mize is a very, very good pitcher. He has a 7-0 start to the season, which is ridiculous. He has not lost a game since he started, but this is the thing that turned it off. You can see right here where it says OPS. Blanco, he's hitting at a 1.0. What this means is the OPS on base percentage, they're hitting this dude a lot. Look at this guy. Blanco 1.0. Cana 2.6. Furman 1.0. Garcia 1.25. India 1.0. 777. 1.0. 1.4. Now, compare that to these guys over here, okay? Now, look at these 1.0s and compare that to over here. 0.43, 0.500, 0.167, 0.83. The only guys here is McKinstry and Baez. That's it. Everybody else has a minus or less than 1.0. Everybody over here has a over 1.0. So I don't like it, man. It's just what this tells me is very clearly that the Royals, they have Mize's number. So even if he has all these great records and all the great starts and this and that, and the other thing that I noticed too is it was kind of iffy is that the OPS record for the last 7 days is that the Tigers and Royals are very similar. They're like 24th. And I'm gonna hook you guys up now with the so I'm sorry. So then go to the link in the description if you haven't done that. There's a free things there, free picks. So make sure you take care of that. Also subscribe and then subscribe there. That's where I'm going to post all my videos, my lives, everything like that is always on YouTube. Here we go. So I do like Aaron Judge. The only thing I don't like about this is that he did not get a hit. What was this? 2 days ago. So when I see something like this, for example, whenever I see that the last game, he did not get a hit. So then this other guy that I showed earlier, what's his name? What the hell's his name? This guy, Ronald Acuna Jr., he did not get a hit on the second game. Okay. So when I did his stats, he did not show up it showed up as a 0 right here because that was his last game. He did not get a hit. So the way I look at this is if the batter is playing, right, and he comes just like, what's his name, Halliburton, he got 8 points. So then he comes in the next game and he's like, shit, man, I did horrible. So they have that messed up mindset already. So anyways, Aaron Judge is a different animal because they walk him a lot anyway. But he has 0 hits. What I'm trying to say here is that if the mentality, it might be that he comes into today's game saying like, damn, I didn't get a hit last game. So that affects him. You know what I mean? Normally I would skip this batter completely, but it only, I love it for 2 reasons. Because if it's 80% hit rate, plus it's Aaron Judge, and then the last thing is he's going against this guy, Gonsolin. He's faced this guy twice, and he's gotten 1 hit. That's a 50% hit rate. Plus, he's got 80% hit rate over here, and he's getting up to bat between 4 and 5 times. So those are the reasons I'm going with him. I would suggest if you don't want to risk it, don't do it because of the last game he did not get a hit. And they're starting to walk him a lot more now. So be careful with that. Anyways, we got the next guy is Alec Bohm from the Phillies. 100% hit rate. He goes up to bat between 4 and 5 times, and he's exceeded this line 10 straight games. Let me go back to Aaron Judge right here. This dude has gotten a hit 18 out of the last 19 games on the road. Okay, so that was another reason for Judge. Anyways, I like Aaron Judge to get a hit, Alec Bohm to get a hit, Lourdes Gurriel. 80% hit rate between 4 and 5 times at bat. This game, for whatever reason, was only 2 times. But you can see they only scored 1 run. So they must have just not gotten any hits, pretty much. He's exceeded. It's telling you I'm not going to explain this again. I always explain this. But basically, he's supposed to get 2 hits today. That's what this is saying. He is not going to get 2 hits according to this data here. But we don't care about that. We only need him to get 1 hit. Plus, he's facing this guy, Irvin, 7 hits. 7 at-bats, and he's gotten 3 hits. So, all right, guys, just to confirm, I'm going with also on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you're here now, make sure you subscribe. On the Discord, guys, inside the Discord, we have about 60 people. I know it's been a little bit slower in there, but also the season for baseball's finishing, hockey is finishing. So when baseball transitions in completely, the only things that are really going on is golf, baseball, and WNBA. So it does tend to get a little bit slower, but there's still some stuff there, especially with baseball being as solid as it is. Usually there's like 15 games, especially on Saturdays. There's like 18 games or 17 games, whatever it is. So go join the Discord. Make sure you check that out as well. All right, guys, man, I really do appreciate you all. Let's have another great day. Thank you.